Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is James Duggan with IGN, and I'm here with
Tate Fiebing.
And Tate has achieved the rank of Legend in Hearthstone how many times?
Up 4 times since beta.
It's remarkably impressive. So I want to ask you a bunch of questions, and I guess the biggest of which, and this is kind of launching into the overarching discussion of, is getting to Legend easy? And I suppose it depends upon your definition of easy, but what would your answer be to that?
I think overall my answer would be yes, in the fact that I've played competitive games my entire life, and it's the game I'm able to achieve that level of success in. And their system kind of caters towards it. They don't have a true skill system. It purely becomes a game of odds. If you win more than you lose, it's just a matter of how many games you play to get Legend. If they had something that showed if you got to Legend quicker, that you had a higher achievement, because best players in the world hit Legend in 2 or 3 days. It took me at least 23 weeks, like 21 to 25 days each time I did it. So there's definitely a skill gap, even within the Legend community.
All right, so you mentioned the amount of games it took for you to get to Legend and the amount of time and the time commitment. Basically, the formula is win percentage, and then you can get the amount of time it will take for you and the amount of games it will take for you to get Legend out of that, roughly. But I want to ask you, because I've been playing this game for a long time. You've been obviously playing this game from launch as well. There are 3 major deck archetypes, barring some exceptions, but it's basically like aggro, mid-range, and control, and that basically translates to fast, medium, and slow. So what is the incentive? Why would I ever take a slow deck that my win condition takes 30 minutes into a ladder where I need to crank out 300, 400 games in a month to be able to see Legend?
Yeah, it's something that I kind of figured out after playing the game a while, is you have to be having fun playing the game. Like, if your goal is just get Legend and you're going to pick the fastest deck, it's not fun for you to play, and all you're doing is grinding games. Generally, you're not making good decisions because you're not invested. You're just trying to push through. But if you play a control deck and you love playing it and you make the right decisions, you're comfortable with it, I actually think that would take someone to Legend before just picking up the quickest deck on the market and then just going in and grinding out games. That being said, the best players in the world that try to race to Legend will pick the fastest deck because it's the fastest way to get there.
So you were spectating some games with me. I was playing some games, and I've been kind of trying to push for Legend for a long time. I've gotten very close a couple of times, but I was at a point where I thought I was making 100% confident, correct decisions.
Yeah.
And maybe that was true with Face Hunter, but some of the other decks, it was not the case. So I guess what would you say to people who are having difficulty getting to Legend and think the game is all about luck? There is obviously a factor of RNG, but how much does that play into it? How much does player skill actually play into getting Legend?
Well, it's the same with all competitive games. It's easy to fall in the trap of, when I win, it's because I'm good. When I lose, it's because the opponent got lucky or something out of my control happened. But every single game, starting with the thing that isn't clear, is the mulligan phase. More games are won and lost doing the mulligan than probably any other point in the game. And if you don't know how to mulligan correctly to get the cards that are right, if you're always too aggressive and then you end up with a bad hand, you're probably going to lose a lot of games. So there's these hidden things that kind of separate the best players from the bad. There's a reason the same people end up at the top of Legend. There is skill, even though the game is crazy RNG. But it's like poker. The best players float up to the top every time because they know the situations.
So before you hit rank 5, and obviously 5 to 1 is a huge grind, maybe even more so than 25 to 5.
Yeah, absolutely.
Before you do that, you go on win streaks. And what I see a lot of players do, and I even had the tendency at one point to do this, was when I went on a win streak of like 6 or 7 games, and I was just tearing through the ranks. Once I got to a point, I would just be like, I'm going to quit while I'm ahead and come back to this in 5 days. How much time does it take during the entirety of the month? Because you only have a month to hit Legend before it resets. So is that the right attitude to have? Or should I just be grinding out as many games as I possibly can, trying to maintain a certain win percentage?
Yeah, so what's going to happen is, if you're winning a bunch of games, you get on a win streak, you're going to get pushed through to a higher class of players that are now that much further ahead. And what ends up happening, it's like any game where you play people who are better than you, and that makes you better. So if you're kind of waiting for the curve to catch up with you and then play those same players that you've beaten and then do that, it's a slower process. If you're at a certain skill level, that can take you to Legend. But if you're really trying to improve, once you start getting in the areas or the ranks that you're less comfortable, that's probably a good thing. So keep grinding, and if you're losing games, it's most likely because you're making mistakes, because you've been playing the deck and you've been winning games, and now you're up to another level of players, so their execution might be better.
And is that level of player on a conveyor belt that is constantly grinding towards legend? So in other words, if I hit my tier of player 5 days into the month and I just can't get past rank 12, does that mean that my tier of player is continuously moving down towards rank 1? Would you say that that's probably true, or maybe not?
I think so, because the win streak makes it where it's not always just the gains and losses aren't equal until rank 5. You can get bonus wins before rank 5. So if you're a player who plays 50-50, you can still hit rank 5 playing 1 win, 1 loss, as long as occasionally you win 3 in a row before losing 3 in a row. You can theoretically get all the way down to rank 5. So yeah, absolutely.
Okay, final question. Give me your top piece of advice for the common player who's trying to hit legend, or has been for a number of seasons, and is just not really coming up with the result that they want. What would be your advice? Should they stick with it? Should they maybe just go into arena? Legend isn't for them. What's the deal?
If you really want to do it, for me, I found that I had to actually go in with the intent and take it seriously. I have a habit of multitasking during games. Hearthstone's a very passive game. It's very casual. So I'll throw a Twitch stream on the side. I'll watch YouTube. I'll be having a basketball game on the background while I'm playing Hearthstone. And I'm not winning games at the rate I normally do because I'm not focused on it. So if you really want to do it, it's kind of shut down your surroundings and actually focus on it. Think about every play. It's hard to stay focused for multiple hours. It's a really long grind, but that's kind of the difference, is you have to actually take it seriously, and sometimes it's hard to do in a game like Hearthstone.
For sure. All right. Well, hopefully I will be hitting legend sometime before 2020. When nobody else plays the game, but maybe that's my time to shine.
Yeah.
Tate, thank you so much for joining me and talking about hitting legend in Hearthstone. For all things Hearthstone, keep it right here on IGN.